What's up, boxing fans? It's your boy Ash. Ready to chop it up, talking about some boxing. Well, there's a fight that's been signed. Everybody knows what it is. Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto at 154 pounds for Cotto's super welterweight title. Obviously, this is not the fight that, Floyd wanted. If we go back, like I said, to November, when they called out Manny Pacquiao, and I'm definitely not about to get into all that. That was the fight that was wanted. I mean, if you read the news right now, they're still talking about talks fell out and the fight crashed over 50-50, which is a bunch of bullshit. Everybody heard the 100 excuses coming from Team Pacquiao. Everybody knows that there were no negotiations. That's why Floyd actually called Michael Cotto, because there were no negotiations. Remember, Bob did not know who was in quote unquote involved. So how they don't put pressure on the other side, I'll still never understand that. But that's just slanted journalism. That's what goes on in boxing. The media picks and chooses who they write stories about in a good way based on if they like them or not. Okay? When I look at the criteria that has been placed on Floyd, no fighter in this history of boxing has had to deal with that criteria. The criteria that changes every time is never consistent. And every time he fights a guy they said he's ducking or he would never get in the ring with, they just scratch his name off and put another name there. They have never done this with any fighter in history. And it's because they don't like him. It's not about the skills, because they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're seeing. They've witnessed the dominance for years and years and years and years. And for them to even keep insinuating that Pacquiao is the best fighter of this decade and that he's the fighter to cement someone's legacy, which he probably is, because he is a good fighter and he's done a lot, but he just got his ass beat. How convenient for you to just act like that didn't take place. He just got his ass beat. You saw him literally shut down for 12 rounds in front of his fans. You just saw that. You're ignoring it, but you just saw it. So while people keep screaming his name as if every fighter out there wants to fight Pacquiao. Okay? And my thing is, you know what? I don't even give a fuck. Anyway, Cotto versus Floyd Mayweather. They didn't want to make the Mayweather fight. Pacquiao was trying to weight drain Cotto again. Mayweather basically saw that the Pacquiao fight was not going to take place, so they offered a more lucrative deal to Cotto. And Cotto, being a free agent, he was able to take that fight because he wasn't signed with Top Rank anymore. And now we have Cotto versus Mayweather. It's a good fight. Cotto's on a 3-fight win streak, I think all by stoppage, and winning another world title at another division against a guy that Pacquiao did not want to face because he was quote unquote too tall, talking about Yuri Foreman. And you can check that out on YouTube. It's there. They don't tell you about the guys he turned down. That's not considered ducking. You know what I'm saying? When he turned them down, that's not considered ducking. So, I don't know what it is. Conveniently bypassing opponents. Is that what it is? But you've seen it. He's been doing that shit ever since he left featherweight. He has avoided the best fighters ever since he left the featherweight division, and he has gotten a media blowjob for everybody that he faces. It don't even matter if they're the top of the line, top notch. If they put their name next to him, next to his, he gets all the credit in the world, and those guys don't even be the best fighters in the world. They're just regular opponents. But anyway, Cotto's been in the game a long time. It's unfortunate he had to suffer being in the ring with guys who want to cheat. One being Antonio Margarito, who duped everyone into believing that he was just a top-notch fighter I mean, he was a good fighter. I know I called him a bum in the other video, but the point of me calling him a bum was to emphasize how overrated he was. It wasn't that he wasn't a good fighter. You can't win a world title without being a decent fighter. But he duped everyone into believing that he was something that he wasn't. The media anointed another Bob Arum fighter as champion of the welterweight division, and he never had the wins to solidify himself as the champion. They gave him the title of champion of welterweight division and also the title of being the most feared fighter when that wasn't true either. Everybody was trying to fight him, and there's no one that can tell me that Bob Arum couldn't make a fight with a Latino fighter on the West Coast. There's no way you can tell me that. You cannot tell me that. And you got fighters after fighter calling him out. How is he the most feared? But anyway, I mean, that was the media garbage that people, they read that stuff, man. People read that stuff and they believe it as if these guys who, with these pens and pads, know everything there is to know about boxing, and they don't, because they're always getting exposed. But anyway, Margarito was a cheater, and Cotto lost to him, but he just avenged that defeat. Pacquiao, I don't know with certitude that he is taking performance-enhancing drugs, but I suspect it, because I don't believe you can go up division by division by division 8 to 10 times and your body handling the weight well. Every time you go to a new division, nobody does that. Everybody has a flabby moment when you go up to a weight that's higher than where you're supposed to be. When De La Hoya first got to 160 pounds, he was flabby, and that's because his body was not accustomed to fighting at that weight, and it showed because he went up naturally. That's what happens. Okay, look at guys who aren't stars like Angel Hernandez when he went up to 160 for a fight, flabby. Let's talk about what's that guy that Ricky Hatton beat? Mexican, used to be a lightweight, Juan Lascano. When he first went up in weight from 135 pounds to 140, he looked flabby. When Jose Luis Castillo went up from lightweight to 140. He looked flabby. It wasn't that he wasn't in shape. You don't go into a fight not training for the fight. The fight is 12 rounds, and that's wear and tear on the body. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to avoid going to camp. It's just that his body was not saturated at the new weight because they went up naturally in weight. Look at when Diego Corrales jumped up to welterweight to fight Joshua Clottey. Look at his body. Was it ripped? You know what I'm saying? Was he shredded? He was a slender guy, but he had a six-pack. He had pretty decent definition, when he was in top shape. How did his body look? Because he went up naturally. That's what happens when your body goes to a division that it wasn't supposed to be in the first place. Pacquiao never showed that on his body. He always took the weight well. He was always muscular. He never lost the speed, and he increased power. So how do people... Anyway... Miguel Cotto is a very good fighter. He's fought some of the best fighters at welterweight. He solidified his mark in his career at this weight more than any other weight. At 140, he did a lot. He won all of his fights there in dominating fashion. Not all of them, but the majority of them. And he pretty much, basically, he deserved this fight. They were trying to weight drain him again from Top Rank for less money. And you got Mayweather, who was willing to leave out of his element to come up and weight to fight Miguel Cotto at his weight for his title. And that's the way it should be done. That's the way it's always been done. Making a guy weigh in at a catch weight to defend his title. How do you not consider that making up your own rules? That's exactly what it is. How do you force the champion to weigh in less than the weight division for the organization's under the organization's rules for which he represents as champion? That is making up your own rules. You cannot have it both ways. This is the way it's supposed to be done. And I think it's a very good fight, especially for Miguel Cotto. He has the edge in power and size, as Mayweather is not a junior middleweight fighter. And he has never been a quote-unquote knockout puncher. And I guess you can definitely label Cotto as a puncher. So, and he has very good boxing technique. This is a very good fight. And you gotta give Mayweather credit for taking this fight because it was the best available opponent, not named Manny Pacquiao. Who else was there to fight? There was a lot of guys to fight, but who out there that was better than Miguel Cotto? Mayweather should have selected if he couldn't get Pacquiao. So it's not that people want to talk about, oh, Mayweather's fighting Pacquiao's leftover. Pacquiao was trying to fight Pacquiao's leftover and was trying to weight drain his ass again. So like I said, how do you always make it one-sided? This guy is like a god to them. A god to them. None of boxing logic registers in their mind because it doesn't even register in the minds of the guys that's been around for a lot of years. They have picked and choose who they like, and they will defend it no matter what. I mean, if that's not obvious now, it's all. I mean, seriously, you must be blind. You must be literally blind. But you know what you're gonna get on May 5th. You're gonna see a very good fight. We already know what Miguel Cotto comes to do. He comes to fight his heart out. He's gonna give it his all. He has a lot of amazing attributes. He has fast hands. He has a very, very stiff jab that can put you down by itself. He got a big right hand. He has a tremendous left hook upstairs and downstairs. Tremendous body puncher. He's a very good counter puncher when he chooses. He doesn't always choose to counter because he's aggressive. I mean, he usually dictates the fight. So he's more offensive than he is defensive. But to his credit, his defense has improved tremendously over the years. He's a solid fighter, very solid fighter, and it's going to be a tough fight because he is a tough opponent. I mean, it's not a guy that's going to lay down. And, expect fireworks on May 5th. This is real cool. And, the thing that I thought about this fight is some of the interviews that was taking place, like with Miguel Cotto on ESPN. And Miguel Cotto said he never asked Bob to fight Mayweather in his career, and he never pushed for an opportunity to fight Mayweather. I found that quote fairly interesting, and I'll put it below so you all can see it for yourself. But if Cotto himself is saying that he never pushed to fight Mayweather, or he never asked Bob Arum to get him the Mayweather fight, then how in blue hell did Floyd duck Miguel Cotto? When Miguel Cotto himself said he never asked to fight Floyd, he never asked to fight Floyd. How do you just say that Mayweather ducked him? You want to know why? Because the media said so. And where did they get it from? Bob Arum. That's how it works. To be a good promoter, you got to be a good salesman, a good negotiator, and a good liar. That is where all this have come from. And the reason why I've been constantly telling you this is because I've covered top rank events. More than one, more than two. And I guarantee you can mark my words, every time we were in the press conference, whether it was the pre-fight press conference or the post-fight press conference, Bob always talked about Floyd Mayweather. Always taking shots, always saying he's ducking. And it don't even have to be Manny Pacquiao fighting. He always taking shots at Oscar at these press conferences. Always taking shots at these guys. And the media just buys it. I just don't understand the love affair that they have with Top Rank. Maybe it's because he's been around for so long. And then, you know what? That's a face that they've been accustomed to seeing at press conferences. So naturally, they probably feel that everything that he says has validity. But all he is doing is trying to market and sell his product so he can make cap. It's business, people. It's business. This is not just a sport. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm still paying for this education that I'm using to dissect this stuff. I'm not just using boxing knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just using that. Promoters got to get that bread too, and they're gonna figure out every way possible to make that happen. And unfortunately for boxing, the best way to market your product is through the boxing media, as boxing is not a mainstream sport no more. But we're growing again, so that's good. That's good for that's a good sign for boxing. But We already know what Mayweather brings to the table. No one needs to continue to recite it. I mean, it's known. Um, so what I think is going to happen in this fight, I think Miguel Cotto is going to come out strong. He's going to come out hard, but he's going to get countered. He's going to get countered real well, and I think that's when he's going to see that he's not in with the same caliber opponent that he's been facing. Not saying he hasn't been facing Class A fighters. He has. I'm not taking nothing away from Miguel Cotto. Solid dude. Solid dude. You know, I think he just done Puerto Rico proud. You know, I mean, he fought with his heart and he was willing to fight anybody. You know, and he just left it to the hands of the people that promoted him. And the people that promoted him didn't always give him the best available competition. I'm just going to keep it 100. You can't have it both ways. You can't say one guy has had nothing but the best comp and one hasn't, because let's be truthful. Miguel Cotto did not fight the best fighters at 140 pounds. The best fighters in the world were Costa Tszyu, Sean Bay Mitchell, Vivian Harris, Zab Judah, Ricky Hatton. I guess you could start throwing in guys like top contenders like Hurtado, who was there, and you had, of course, you had Chop Chop. But by the time Cotto got the Chop Chop, he had been chopped. You know, he had been dissected already. He wasn't world champion no more. Zab Judah beat him for that. And if, in fact, the belt that Zab Judah vacated, the WBO junior welterweight title, is the title that Cotto won at that weight when Zab went up to welterweight. You know? So he didn't fight the best fighters at 140 pounds, but he fought some solid guys and he dominated them, and he did he left his mark, and he did win a world title. So I don't take credit away from Cotto, but I'm not gonna anoint him as if he's fought the best fighters at both weights. He fought the best fighters, quote unquote, at welterweight, but not at junior welterweight. Just like Mayweather didn't fight the best fighters at 140. You know, and if you really look at his record and take the media's dick out your mouth, he fought the best fighters at 30, at 35, and now look at what he's doing at welterweight. So, and now he's going to 54. You know? So, and I could do another video and dissect resumes if you like. Like I said, you don't know how deep the water hole goes, and I'll show you. I have no problem with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been patient and I've never liked to take credit away. That's why I'm coming out now with it viciously. You know what I'm saying? Dissecting guys' careers, because the criteria that's been laid out there in the sport of boxing, the criteria that have been accepted by the people who read that garbage and hear that garbage, I'm just using the exact same criteria that you use, because you quickly take credit away. You know? As if they never got in the ring and fought. So you got to give credit for what you're seeing in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, Mayweather fought Juan Manuel Marquez, Shane Mosley, when Pacquiao wouldn't fight Shane Mosley, and that is on YouTube too. You know, Shane was trying to fight him at 140 pounds. This was a long time ago, and he was ducked. He was ducked, but they didn't want to write that. They didn't want to, that never happened. No, he didn't duck him. He didn't duck him. It just amazes me how they pick and choose like that. You have to consider all information. And all I'm doing is not like I'm just going out of my way to go find stuff. This was news, and they just conveniently ignored it. I don't know if it's for hits on their website. That's probably what it is. As long as you ride Pacquiao nuts, field boxing, the people that go to field boxing, the Filipino boxing website, and you post your articles over there, you're going to have like thousands of hits because they want to come to your website and read the good articles about Manny Pacquiao. That's what they do, and in turn you get all those hits. So, I mean, it's just amazing, man. I mean, you worried about hits and you're covering the sport of boxing. I mean, keep it for real, man. If you're covering the sport, cover it with an unbiased eye. And keep it equal, and you cannot hold certain guys to a different criteria than everybody else as if he's not human. They're all fighters, okay? No organization in the world holds a criteria for different types of fighters. especially like to get ranking or to be recognized as the best, there is one criteria. You know what I'm saying? Now, the only time an organization will hold a different criteria is if you got to fight a mandatory. If you're a big money guy, they don't force mandatories on you. But if you've been around the sport, you know that's just the way it is, man. It's a big money thing for these non-profit, quote-unquote, organizations. They're all profit. You know what I'm saying? They're straight profit. They always been about that money. So, I mean, look at Chavez Jr. I mean, they find every reason in the world for him not to face Sergio Martinez. How long has it been? He should have been had that shot, that title shot, you know? But, you know, I digress with that. You know, that's old news. But in the fight with Mayweather and Cotto, like I said, it's going to be explosive. It's going to be a big day on May 5th. You know, the Boricua fans, you got to give them a lot of props. Puerto Rico has produced some of the best fighters in boxing history. Miguel Cotto is no exception. Very solid guy. He's going to fight his heart out. In my opinion, I mean, I know a lot of people may think Cotto's going to win, or a lot of people may think Mayweather's going to win. Look, I'm just calling it the way it is. I think Cotto's going to get chopped up. You know, I think he's not going to get demolished, but I think the difference in class will be apparent when they meet. You know, when he starts swinging those shots and not hitting nothing, or have a hard time hitting Floyd Mayweather, he will see, just like everybody else who gets in the ring with him, he will see that it doesn't matter the amount of punches that you throw. Because if you're missing, all you're doing is just wasting punches, which means you're wasting energy. And that makes it much harder to endure the counters that will be coming your way. Powerful counter punches coming your way because you're exhausting yourself trying to hit Mayweather. And Miguel Cotto has so much heart, that's what he's going to do. He's not going to stop trying, and that will be to his detriment. I think Mayweather's going to go to that body, make a conscious effort to go to that body. A lot of people think Cotto's going to go to Mayweather's body. It's hard to hit Mayweather in the body. That's why everybody say you got to go to Mayweather's body. He doesn't make it available for you to hit. His defense is impeccable. The boy is class. No matter what the media say, no matter if everybody can scream Pacquiao to the top of your lungs, you're going to continue to see dominance because his skill level is on another level. You know, he comes from that long lineage of tutelage from Detroit. You know, it's a lot of states in the United States that have it. You know, good trainers are dying. You know, a lot of guys are not getting the knowledge that, you know, that has been passed down generation to generation through in boxing gyms. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what Buddy McGirt has said, or maybe that was Teddy Allen. It was one of them. That the best trainers in the world are pretty much dying off. But there are a lot of good trainers out there now. And of course you got your overrated trainers, you know, getting all these awards when they never built a fighter from scratch. And you're going to have the nerve to let him coach amateur boxing when he never had an amateur boxer, don't know nothing about amateur boxing. That is a slap in the face to all those elite amateur coaches out there who have big time records, who have produced year in, year out, and you're going to put a guy there who don't know nothing about amateur boxing, never built a fighter from scratch. That is what you call anointing. That's what the media does. They overrate and anoint. You are not a great trainer unless you built a fighter from scratch. You can take them through the amateur system and they can become national amateur champions, two-time PAL champions, and all these type of different accolades, and then take them pro and they become champion as a professional. That's a great trainer, and then we have many of them. I always scream this name out because a lot of people want to think if you talk bad about Freddie Roach, you're racist, whatever. I already knows how it goes, especially if it's a black man breaking it down. And, you know, I never bring up race, but that doesn't mean every time I come to YouTube, I don't have an inbox full of racist emails. I've been getting that for years. That's probably what spawned my diatribe that I've been going on for the last couple of months. Because I'm sick of it, man. I never came at anybody with race, ever. That's not my thing. That's not my makeup. You know, you're not responsible for how you come out the womb, man. So all you can do is be proud of who you are. And I don't give a damn what nobody think about that. Straight up. You don't pay my bills. You haven't raised me from A to B to C to the man that I am right now. You were not involved in that. So why should I give a damn what you think about me today? I don't give a damn. You know? But anyway, the name I'm going to scream out is Dan Birmingham. He was a great trainer. He kind of fell off the map because Jeff Lacey fell off. Winky Wright fell off. Chad Dawson doesn't have him in his corner at all anymore. Dan Birmingham is a perfect example of a guy who is a great trainer, from the amateurs to the pros. Kevin Cunningham in St. Louis. He had Devin Alexander and Corey Spinks and a lot of other fighters through the amateur system. They became several-time champions, and then they went pro. And, you know, he took Corey Spinks from the amateurs to pros, and as a pro, he became the undisputed welterweight champion of the world by unifying all titles. He was the real world champion, no matter if you liked him or not. He was. Devin Alexander, he brought him to a several-time world champion from the amateur. That's a great trainer. Kevin Cunningham. You got Berto's trainer, Tony Morgan. He's another one. You got Andre Ward's trainer, Hunter. That's not Barry Hunter. That's Barry Hunter is with Lamont Peterson, but he's another one. Virgil Hunter, I forget. Andre Ward's trainer. He's a good trainer as well. So, but anyway, man, I digress. Those are great trainers. That's what you call great trainers. Okay, you don't just anoint somebody because they tweaking ready-made fighters. If a guy's already been champion before, they ought to let you know he has what it takes to be champion again. You know, if he lost a title or if he vacated a title. If he won a title, he can win another one, unless he was just badly and soundly beaten to a pulp. Because you're always learning in the sport. You go to different trainers because they train different ways. You may go to Mayweather Sr. if you want to learn about timing and defense. You know, you may go to Buddy McGirt if you want to know about, offense. You know, you may go with Ronnie Shields if you want to go with offense. You know, you may want to go with Emmanuel Stewart if you want to know how to fight rhythmic. You want to know how to use your height. You want to know how to use your jab. You want to know how to use the ring. You may go there, or you know, you can also go to Detroit for a lot of things. You can go to Philly for a lot of things. New York, the West Coast, many places in California, Nevada. I mean, it's good gyms all over the place, man. But if you read all these stories, man, they make it seem like there's only one that matters, and it's just a farce. They overrate and they anoint. That's why I can't stand the media. They suck. But anyway, in the fight, I think Mayweather is going to sort out the facts once more. I think Cotto is probably going to take a knee in this one. Not probably because he's just so hurt, but it may be a combination of, you know, body punches, counter punches, and then you got to, I think, fatigue will set in because I think he's going to really bring it. But I think a lot of people are really going to see just how good this guy is. If you still don't believe how good Mayweather is, the facts are about to be laid out right before your eyes. But I already know what's going to happen. He's going to beat Cotto, and they're going to take the credit away. They're going to say, oh, he's this, he's that. You know, it's the same old story. It's the same old story. There is nobody in the world who can have a boxing career and your legacy be based on one fighter. That nowhere in the history of boxing has it ever happened, and it can't be both ways. Both guys got to cement their legacies by fighting each other. You already gave the fighter of the decade away to a guy who hadn't even fought Mayweather, and Mayweather been on the pound-for-pound list for over 10, 12 years. But a guy comes out of nowhere, it's like, oh, this is the story, this is our Cinderella man, and they just anoint, and he didn't have the wins to back it up. He had good wins, but for what they're calling him, Henry Armstrong, that's some bullshit. But anyway, man, I got Cotto by decision. Let me know how you got it. You probably got Cotto by decision or knockout. However you want to leave it, leave it. And I'll get with you next time. Deuces.